Hi Aileen, welcome to Women Who Make It Happen series. Nice to meet you.
It's good to see you, Sue. It's great to be here, thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for agreeing to talk us through your career history. It'd be good to understand how you moved into the financial services sector.
Okay, well, my career started a long time ago, back in 1992. I started my career as a barrister, actually.
Okay.
And I practiced and taught commercial law for 5 years before going to business school. And after business school, I worked at PwC in risk management consulting and spent 3 years there working across a range of firms, including in financial services.
Yeah.
And I suppose because my background was in the law, I'd always had a leaning towards working in highly regulated industries.
Yes.
And so the more work I did at PwC in financial services, the more I realised actually this could be a really interesting sector to have a career in. So after PwC, I started my first job in banking at RBS. Not long
Big
after
company.
the merger. Yeah, fantastic. Not long after the merger with NatWest, so I joined the group risk function.
Yeah.
And not long into my time there, I was very fortunate to be nominated for an Emerging Leaders course.
Oh, wow.
And it was just fantastic, great opportunity to meet lots of colleagues from right across the group with really interesting, diverse backgrounds.
Yeah.
And one of the key outputs of that course was the need for me to get my head under the bonnet, so to speak,
Okay.
and get some hands-on experience in one of the businesses. And so I spent the next couple of years in the cards business, which was a mixture of cards issuing and acquiring, but also over time grew to include loans and savings and direct services.
Yeah.
So just fantastic first experience of hand-on risk management, and there I led what we called enterprise risk, so operational risk and financial crime, and over time then my responsibility was extended into compliance and regulatory risk.
Excellent.
So yeah, it was a really fantastic time. RBS was making lots of acquisitions, there was lots of change in the business.
Yeah.
And it was really great get a first experience of hands-on risk management.
Yeah.
And then after that, I moved for a short time into insurance distribution. So I spent a little bit of time in a business called BGL, which is very well known for Compare the Market and the Meerkats. And following that, I went back into banking, into Lloyds Banking Group. And that was where I did my first director level role in risk, where I focused on non-financial risk in the wholesale division.
Okay.
So again, I was responsible for operational risk, financial crime, compliance and conduct risk. And I was the divisional compliance officer, so responsible for managing the relationship with the FCA and supporting the division and all of the divisional businesses through regulatory reviews. And again, during that time, I was very fortunate to be mentored by the divisional chief executive.
Yeah.
And as part of our development discussions, we talked about me broadening my experience.
Okay.
And so following another leadership program at Lloyds, I was very fortunate to be offered the opportunity to become the chief risk officer of the asset finance businesses. So that was my first sort of fully fledged chief risk officer role in Lloyds, and actually it was my first big scale leadership job because I was leading a team of over 200 colleagues.
Oh wow, okay.
In bases right across the country.
Yeah.
So really great experience of scale leadership as well as working as a chief risk officer for the first time, sitting on the executive committee of the business.
Yeah.
And that was a fantastic experience. And I did that role for a couple of years, and then got tapped on the shoulder about a job at a kind of very new fledgling bank. In fact, the first new high street bank in the UK in many years, Metro Bank. And it was just too good an opportunity not to pursue. And I'd had a fantastic time at Lloyds. I mean, Lloyds was just the most wonderful experience, full of fantastic colleagues and a really, really great place to learn, and I was very fortunate to have the support of some fantastic male leaders who really helped me on in my career. I'd reached that point where I knew I wanted to have the opportunity to be the CRO of the entire business, and Metro offered that opportunity to get in at a very early stage and grow with the business.
Yes.
So that's what I did, and I spent over 7 years there.
Wow.
And again, it was just the most amazing experience building a bank.
Yep.
Not quite from scratch, but almost, and focusing on creating fans, because Metrobank was service-led, not product-led.
Yeah.
And so everything we did was about creating fans. And to do that, we had a really simple philosophy that to make fans of your customers, you've got to make fans of your colleagues. The culture that we built and sustained was something that sat at the heart of the business, and it was a really special thing to be a part of.
Yes.
So I spent 7 years there, fantastic experience.
Amazing journey.
And, you know, some really challenging times as well as some really exciting times, but lots of great learning and development. From there I went on to run the risk organisation in my first global firm, a firm called Intertrust. So it was based in Netherlands, listed on the Amsterdam Stock Exchange, and that was focused on trust and corporate services, so a very, very different part of the financial services ecosystem. And from there I went to Allica Bank, which is another challenger bank, focusing
pattern here.
Absolutely, focusing on small, medium-sized businesses. And it was all about harnessing the best of technology with the best of relationship banking to offer the SME sector, which is really underserved by the big banks, a better service, but underpinned by, you know, great technology. So, you know, a fintech with a really strong relationship focus. So that was really exciting. And then finally, I got the opportunity to join the AA. So my very last boss at Lloyd's is the Group Chief Executive at the AA. And when the opportunity arose, it was really hard to resist working again with a former boss, but also the opportunity to join just this amazing British institution and brand. It's just over 120 years old, and with a really clear vision and purpose. It's all about creating confidence for drivers, and I just love that. Very different. We have a financial services arm, but obviously we provide a roadside service to many millions of customers. So it's been quite a journey, and very diverse and really exciting and fun.
Yeah, really diverse, different organisations, massively different in sizes. Has there been any one company that's stuck out in terms of the role that you have worked within?
So I think they've all been really rewarding and fun in different ways. I suppose when I reflect on it, I think in terms of the things that set firms apart, where I've enjoyed the role most and where it's been most rewarding. And I think a couple of things spring to mind. And the first is where there's a really clear vision and purpose underpinned by really strong culture. And when I think of those firms, and especially Metro, but also Lloyd's and the AA and Allica and others, there's a really clear focus on customers, but it's underpinned by a culture that's all about bringing out the best in colleagues, and that just makes it a really special place to be, and to be part of the leadership team who's actually leading on that culture is a real privilege, actually. And the second point is actually around leadership. I've been really fortunate throughout my career, starting at the very beginning at the bar, to have been led by the most inspiring individuals. And when I think about the leaders who've inspired me the most, it's been those folks, and actually it's been men throughout my career, who have really invested in nurturing the next generation of talent, and who've made that as important a part of their career as actually doing their day job, that they really see the responsibility in the role of nurturing talent and bringing on the next generation of leaders. And I feel incredibly privileged to have worked with some incredible leaders who've actually inspired me to do the same. As a leader, to focus on nurturing capability and talent and growing that next generation of leaders.
I like the fact that there are very strong male advocates and allies of women, and that are able to nurture and everything, because in this sector there've been a long, obviously I'm talking 10 years plus back, there's been a long time where perhaps there hasn't been as many women that are in the sector now, and we still need more coming through, which is one of the reasons we do this podcast. But it's nice to know that there are allies there, and that they're going to bring on people and inspire you to do the same.
Absolutely. And you know, and I wouldn't have had the career that I've had without the support and the sponsorship of these men who you know, were absolutely committed to, you know, developing talented women and making sure that they could have a great career, and that that they would have the opportunity to be able to stretch and grow and develop and fulfill their potential. And so, you know, it's really important to me because, you know, having started my career when I did, when there weren't a lot of female role models, it was really difficult to kind of look up at senior tables and see many senior women. And there's a quote from Madeleine Albright, the former US Secretary of State, and she said, "There's a special place in hell for women who don't help other women." And
I like that quote.
I have to say, I agree 100%. And for me, it's really important as a senior woman to want to be a role model, but also to do everything I can to encourage and support and mentor that next generation of leaders, and especially women leaders, to make sure that actually we are creating opportunity, and that all of the really talented women out there have the opportunity to fulfill their potential.
Yeah, absolutely. Is there anything specifically you do to help that within your team or in the wider network?
Well, I think just generally, you know, I will never say no to a colleague, or even, you know, I get asked sometimes from former colleagues, or even on LinkedIn, just to meet and have a coffee and a conversation, and I never say no. Because it's really important, I think, to walk the talk, but also just to make time so that, you know, aspiring talented women recognise that, you know, there are lots of allies there who really want to see them succeed. And setting the right example really matters. And that's why, you know, I'm so committed to making sure that I do help junior women coming through. And you know, and that means making time for it, and actually making that commitment and following through by walking the talk.
Okay. Is there anything you would change about your journey, or advice that you would give your younger self in terms of helping you navigate the challenges along the way?
You know, I don't think I would change anything. I always say life's too short for regret. And every experience teaches you something.
Absolutely.
And sometimes the really tough experiences teach you much more than the successes. So I wouldn't change anything. And you know, I've been very fortunate to have such a varied career and to work with so many fantastic people. And actually, it's the greatest gift that my career has given me. I've just worked with some outstanding people. And as my career has gone on, I've had the opportunity to work with some really outstanding women. And that's just been the most joyful experience for me. So no, I wouldn't change anything.
No.
If I was coaching my younger self, I think there are a few things I would say to her. The first is, your career is a marathon, it's not a sprint. So pace yourself. And, you know, manage your energy. But I'd also say be strategic about the choices that you make. And that doesn't always mean having to make an upwards move every time. Sometimes just grabbing an opportunity because it's going to give you broader experience or a broader set of skills or capability. Can be a really great thing to do. And just having the confidence to take a sideways step is something I'd encourage everybody to do, provided it's part of that bigger plan, strategic plan. The other point, and it's a really important one, especially for women, is to trust your gut. And never let anybody talk you off your game. I think it's very easy in a room of, you know, noisy, confident people to question your judgment and your intuition, and I'd say to every woman, trust your gut.
Excellent. I like that. I think women are known for having true intuition with their gut, so I do think that is something that we should encourage.
Yeah, absolutely.
So with your teams that you've led over the years, has there been a specific type of leadership style that has enabled you to bring on that diverse of thought of individuals, or has it evolved, or have you typically gone out to mould a team with different talents?
That's a great question. And I think the honest answer is it depends.
Yeah.
At Metro, we had a really great hiring philosophy that stood me in really good stead. And it was really simple: hire for attitude and train for skill. Now, in a technical discipline like risk and compliance, it's kind of a base level of experience and capability that's required. Yeah. But I think that mindset really gave me license to hire for the potential and to see the potential in folks. And so I managed to build a very diverse team of really talented people with lots of potential. So not yet fully formed, but really hungry to learn, really hungry to grow. And we all grew together, actually. It was just the most fantastic journey. And I think the diversity helped. 50% of my senior team were female.
Fantastic.
But we had also a really strong diverse mix more generally. Yeah. And I think that diversity of experience, but also diversity of thought, made for a really powerful team.
Excellent. That sounds like a really good success there.
It was fantastic. And when I'm thinking about how to shape my team, I'm always really keen to firstly find people who are really fantastic at what they do, but still with lots of room left to grow.
Yes, yeah.
But also people who'll bring something a little bit different and make me think differently, and hopefully the rest of the team. Because I think that diversity of thought and that ability to challenge thinking so that you get to an even better answer and a better outcome is really important.
Yeah, no, I think diversity of thought is the best mix of skills and you can have within a team to be able to challenge and give different thoughts, and just is the real mix that you need for any business.
Absolutely,
isn't it?
yeah. And I think there's something too around not trying to be good at everything as a leader.
Absolutely.
And I think it's really important to focus on those strengths that to be your unique strengths. Yeah. And I always say to colleagues, why sort of flog yourself trying to be great at things that frankly don't come naturally to you, if you can surround yourself with people who will compensate for that, so that you can focus on turning your unique strengths into your superpowers. That's a much better use of your time and energy, and also then means that you're growing and developing your team around you, because you're asking them to step up and make sure that you've got that right blend of skills right across the team.
I like that. Turning your strength into your superpower.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So it should be a strap line for something.
I think it is somewhere. Yeah.
So what would be next for you in your career?
Oh, who knows? I'm enjoying the ride. Yeah. I think at some point I will step off the executive treadmill and think about doing something perhaps less time consuming. I have done non-executive roles, and that's really fun because it requires you to step out of the executive mindset and think in a very different way. Yes. And so I think at the right time I'll consider taking on non-executive roles, but I also want to make sure that I can keep on working with emerging talent and helping other colleagues, and particularly talented women. Yes. And I haven't quite figured out what that looks like yet, but that's certainly something I want to continue to commit time and energy to.
That's good. I think it is important for women in general to, as you said earlier, to give back to other women. I think it helps the whole ecosystem of the banking sector in terms of paying forward or giving back, it is invaluable, and that's the way we will get new talent coming through.
Absolutely, and we're not there yet, right? The
job's
not done. So
long way to go.
Absolutely. So we've got to keep focusing on making sure that we are pulling that talent through, and that we are creating opportunity, but also that we're really clear about the things that get in the way.
Yes.
And make sure we do something about that too.
Yeah. No, that's really good advice. Is there any final takeaways that you have for the younger female population or male in terms of getting that first foot in the door of a leadership role?
The single most important thing from my perspective has been the relationships that I've developed over the course of my career.
Yeah.
I always say no conversation is ever wasted, because you just never know when it's going to go. And having a casual cup of coffee, somebody can lead to another conversation that can lead to an opportunity. You just don't know. So I do think that cultivating and relationships and focusing on relationships as a way of not just getting career opportunities, but actually getting things done as well.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, people want to work with people that they like working with, and so having really good relationships with your colleagues is important. But it also then helps you create a network that over
Absolutely.
time, the longer you're around and the more senior you become, actually can start to be a source of really interesting opportunities.
Yes. No, absolutely. I think developing a network is really key for those individuals looking at their next career move. And I think networking per se is just something you need to do throughout your career, isn't it? And you've done extremely well.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Sue.
Thank
Great
you.
to be here.
Bye-bye.